Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today we're going to be getting into some more controversial book opinions of mine. If you missed the first video in this series, I will go ahead and link it up above and down below because this is part 2. You don't necessarily have to watch these in order because I'll be talking about completely different books from the first set, but I got all of these little comparisons from hardcover. I will link my hardcover profile down below. It's a book tracking website like Goodreads, except it's literally a million times better because we all know Goodreads is a piece of hardcover has a lot of extra cool features and they let you know which of your ratings are like super controversial in comparison to the average rating from most of the readers on their site. In this video, I'm going to be going over 20 books that I have an outlier opinion on according to hardcover. But before we get into the books, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Shiny Smile. I'm going to throw it over to Haley, who was speaking in the daytime and had different hair. I did have to film this video in multiple parts, but enjoy that. So I actually heard about Shiny Smile on TikTok and I thought they were so cool. And they're basically the easiest and most affordable veneers I've ever heard of. The trays for Invisalign were actually so harsh on my teeth that it ended up chipping a few of my teeth. And my dentist literally told me the only way that I would be able to fix those aesthetics is through veneers. I'm not trying to spend thousands of dollars on veneers, especially when I don't want to shave down my teeth and I don't know what that's gonna look like. I don't want to commit to that. I feel much more comfortable with Shiny Smile. This is the kit that they send you to take your impressions. It's really easy. You just put the different putty in the trays, put the trays in your mouth and send them out to Shiny Smile, and then you get back your finished veneers. Oh my god, I'm so excited. So I'm gonna put these in. Okay, let me show you guys an up close and personal before and after. Here are my teeth with no Shiny Smile, no veneers. Here they are. And now let's put in the veneers. Here is the after. I love them. They're so big and white and I've never had my teeth look like this before. Like, this is tripping me out actually. So if you want to check out these affordable, easy at-home veneers for yourself, you can use my discount code, which will be revealed at the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned for that little surprise. And of course, everything will be linked down below as well. Thank you so much to Shiny Smile for sponsoring this video. And now let's go ahead and get into my controversial book opinions. Or should I say ratings? Because some people might share these opinions with me, but the way that the ratings are reflected had something to say. So there are going to be some books that I rated dramatically higher than the public, Gen Pop, if you will, and some books that I rated dramatically lower. They're all going to be mixed up in here, so we never know what we're going to get. First up, let's talk about Dirty Heads by Erin Dries. This is a queer little horror novella about a kid realizing that he's gay over the course of all of these traumatic experiences. He kind of just starts to put the pieces together. It is masterful queer horror, but there's a huge focus on body horror in this book. Now, for me, that's perfect. I love gore. I love body horror, especially in the context of queerness. I just love that kind of intersection. That is some of my favorite books. I rated this book 4 stars because I thought it was really great. It's not a favorite of all time, but I loved it. Like, it has everything I love. The average rating for this book on hardcover is 1.5 stars. Which is absolutely wild to me. It must be that the level of body horror in this book is off-putting to most people. It also has kind of like a ambiguous nature to it. It's not super plot driven. It's really trippy and out there, kind of like an Eric LaRocca book, which I wouldn't be surprised if there's an Eric LaRocca book on this list of books as well. That just tends to be a little bit harder for people to digest. So maybe that's the reason for the big 2.5 star gap between my rating and the average, but either way, I stand by it. I love this book. And I believe it's available on KU. So if you like that kind of thing, you should read it. Next up we have This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. This is one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite books that I read last year, actually. I gave it 5 stars. It has an average rating of 2.75 for a difference of 2.25 stars from Gen Pop. If you don't know about this book, it's about a woman reconciling with her mother before her wedding. She has come out as gay and she's marrying a woman, and her mother doesn't really understand this. So she goes on a little snowy cabin getaway with her mother to try to work through these pieces before her wedding, and crazy things regarding past trauma ends up coming up at this cabin. A lot of people said that this book was predictable, and I believe that that's the reason for the low rating. And you do kind of know where the story is headed throughout the whole book, but what I think is so masterful about this is it's not a thriller, right? It's not about the twist. It's about the horror. It's about the terror and the suspense building of knowing that this thing is coming and not getting the payoff until the very end with these horrifying visuals. And along the way, there's just this beautiful trauma commentary. I love it. Obviously, it was one of my favorites of last year. I've constantly recommended it. Kind of crazy to me that people don't love this one as much as I do, but I stand by it again. It's going to be hard to convince me that my ratings are not what they should be. Next up we have The Girls in the Garden by Lisa Jewell. This is another one that I gave 5 stars. Now I did read this quite a little bit ago before I got balls to the walls all the way into thrillers. Not me doing balls to the wall. What's going on? Whoa, whoa. It has a 2.8 average rating, giving average thriller off the shelves. And honestly, I feel like this kind of is an average thriller off the shelves, but this is one of the first Lisa Jewell books that I read, and I was just kind of finding out that her writing style is perfect for me. It's character driven, it's descriptive, there are these fucked up family dynamics that I eat up every single time. Lisa Jewell's writing consistently for me, no matter what the plot of the book is, I just love it so much. I love the way that she develops characters, like I said, relationships, family dynamics. So while this is like a really straightforward murder mystery, these 2 children die in the garden in the middle of this apartment complex, and we're trying to figure out who did it. It's very straightforward, kind of predictable, red herring, standard thriller tropes. Something about the writing for me set it apart, especially because it was one of the first Lisa Jewell books that I read. It had a pretty big impact on me. I think that's the reason for the gap. I would still recommend this book, but maybe I wouldn't give it 5 stars if I read it today. I'll be honest. Next up, we have another thriller that I gave 5 stars. This is Hostage by Claire McIntosh. The average rating was 2.8. So again, most people just kind of thought this as an average thriller. If you don't know about Hostage, it is about an airline flight attendant who receives this little slip of paper on a flight one day that basically says they have her daughter, and if she doesn't take down the entire plane of people, they're gonna kill her daughter. So it's this like moral dilemma, trolley problem kind of situation, and it goes off. The commentary in here goes off. There's so much nuance. This is a thriller with something very, very clear to say, and I loved that about this book. I think it was really a bold choice, and it brings the thrills and the level of like excitement along with the messaging, which I thought was really masterfully done. That's why I gave it 5 stars. I stand by that. I think it's a great book, but I do think if you don't agree with where the commentary is going, that like all things have nuance and there's not one way to be, red, blue, whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's more about like your moral standing. I think that could rub some people the wrong way. So maybe that's the reason for the disparity here. Oh my God, all of my 5-star books are coming under attack. I mean, obviously, the more extreme I rate something, whether it's 1 star, 5 star, the greater chance there is for the disparity between the average, but I just love these books. Next up, we have Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. No, this is like my cutie springtime romance fantasy. I love it so much. Obviously, gave it 5 stars. The average is a 2.82. So again, people just kind of think this is an average romance. What set this book apart for me was that it's my bisexual fantasy, okay? I love the girl and the boy. I could picture myself with the girl and the boy. And I love a little self-insert moment. So I was living for this romance. It's so emotionally aware, but also so sexy. sexy. The smut was so good. And when you're attracted to both characters, it's like, it really doesn't get better than that, at least for me. So that's how I felt about it. I knew there was going to be an Eric LaRocca book on here. I knew it because they're so divisive. This is You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric LaRocca. Really trippy horror book about a virtual reality video game, but also the experience of a gay couple working through their relationship, and some gore, guts, body horror, as Eric LaRocca does so well. It's a really confusing narrative, and it's more about the vibes and the commentary than what is actually happening in the story and the characters. I love that because it gives me just this open space to process all of the things that feel relevant to me as I'm taking in the vibes, but a lot of people don't resonate with that. So I totally see why, although this was super impactful for me and I gave it 5 stars, the average rating 2.88. And you know what? That's like a little bit higher than I feel like some other averages of Eric LaRocca books are. So I can live with that, but this book was a cultural reset for me, and I stand by it. This one pisses me off. We have Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This was one of my favorite books of, I believe it came out in 2021, one of those years. It was in my best books of the year video for that year that it came out, because I think this is masterful, and I think this book is severely misunderstood, and I have a theory about it, and Riley Sager has never confirmed or denied my theory. I need to like go to a book signing with him so I can ask him these questions, because I really truly feel he's done something crazy, and I cannot talk about it without getting into spoilers. I will try to find my wrap up where I talked about this book and link it up above and down below if you want to hear about my theory. I think it's masterful. Okay, I think he's done something. I think he's manipulated the readers and the audience, and that is what has happened with the ratings here, is that people can feel that and they're having a reaction to it. It's so well done. It matches with the commentary, but basically, if you don't know what this book is, it's a thriller. It's set in the 90s. It's about a college girl who her roommate was slashed by the campus slasher, and she's just trying to get home for Thanksgiving break, but she thinks that she has now caught a ride home with the campus slasher. So she's trying to escape. And it's really fun, fast-paced, campy, over-the-top, nostalgic, exciting, but it has this element of commentary to it. Also, the main character is kind of manic and dissociative, so she's also kind of me, and I loved it, and it was 5 stars, and all the rest of y'all just don't get it, and that's just how I feel. Next up, we have How to Walk Away by Catherine Center. This is a fluffy romance. Okay, fluffy, emotional romance. It's giving Hallmark Channel. I gave it 5 stars. The average rating is a 3. Honestly, I get it. I get it. This could be an average romance for just anyone. I read this when I was in a very fragile place in grad school. This was one of the first books I read when I first started grad school. When you start going to grad school for therapy, it is so intense. It is so much. And I was just in a very emotional place. I remember reading this book within the halls of St. Edward's University, and I would just cry in the hallway reading this book. I'm not even kidding. I have a visceral memory of like sitting in this little nook of tiles that was like cut out of a window, and I was sobbing reading How to Walk Away at school in between my classes. So maybe this was just a me thing. But it's a really sweet emotional romance about a woman who becomes paralyzed from the waist down, and she has to learn how to walk away from the situation, walk with her legs, but also how to walk away from a relationship that no longer serves her. And maybe she has a connection with the cute PT who's teaching her how to walk, and it's like so adorable. I'm obsessed. It's also set in Austin, Texas, and I'm a sucker for that because I live here and I love it here. Now we're gonna get into some books that I rated dramatically lower than Gen Pop. So first we have You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I give this book 1 star. I cannot believe this has a 3.43 average rating. Are you kidding? Are y'all kidding? That's actually crazy to me. This was the most boring book ever. This is basically about a woman who books an Airbnb, and she gets there and she suspects that the owner of the Airbnb is trying to kill her. But it's actually just a romance where she gaslights herself the entire time and is like, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. But is he? Maybe we're in love. And it's not even like a fun, quirky, delusional way, because I could totally get into that. It's not like Go Down Hard by Alicia, because I loved that book. This is just boring, and the main character is so frustrating. It's so annoying. The writing is so redundant. It goes on and on in circles. It was a 1 star. It was one of my worst books of last year. I don't know what's going on with this 3.43 average rating. Girls in the Garden might be basic, but she's better than fucking this. Okay, this is where I'm gonna, yeah. This is where I'm gonna start getting pissed off. Credence by Penelope Douglas. 3.27. Gen Pop, what is wrong with y'all? What is actually wrong with y'all? No, this is a 1-star book. So this is a taboo romance book. It's about a girl, freshly 18. Okay, we experience her 18th birthday within the pages of this book. Her parents die. She's got to go live with somebody else who's not her parents. She needs a guardian for just the next few months until she turns 18 and she can go about her life. So she goes to live with her step-uncle. He has 3 sons. She gets into a relationship with the step-uncle and the 3 sons who are supposed to be her adoptive family as she's grieving, as she's freshly 18 and grieving. I'm gonna glitch. I'm gonna just start glitching. Y'all are fucked up. Okay, y'all are fucked up. This book, I have a whole fucking rant on it. Again, I will try to find it where I talked about it in my wrap up and link it. I also talked about it in my worst books of a couple years ago. I will link that video up above down below so you can get the full tea on my thoughts on Credence. We're not gonna go over all that bullshit with the spoilers again because honestly, it just hurts my head. Like I literally feel a headache coming on just talking about Credence. I hate this book. It is so bad. It is not sexy in the slightest. I'm like actually kind of concerned for y'all. If this is what we're romanticizing, maybe we need to romanticize a sticky sock vacation because I don't know about y'all. Here's another one that I've ranted about for all my days. The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. Average rating of 3.25. I obviously gave it a 1 star. This was also one of my worst books of a few years ago. The twist is laughable. This is a YA thriller where we are following 2 girls who are kind of like frenemies, okay? They're transitioning from high school to college and they're trying to figure out their new relationship dynamic with each other as they become adults and blah, blah, blah. And they go on this camping trip in the woods where they think they're being hunted by serial killers. Could be like a really fun slasher with this like final girl thing at the end where they fight and get their way out and then their friendship is revived and yada da. And that's kind of how I thought it was going to be. I was just expecting a like slightly above average YA thriller, like 3.25 you would think it would be. No, I'm going to expose the twist right now of this book because it is so ridiculous. I need you to understand why I don't understand this average rating. Lock in with me here and now. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, you can skip. But if you don't care about being spoiled for this book, let me just preface. The whole book is set up so that these girls can save themselves. It's all supposed to be about like female empowerment, yada, yada, yada. There's this critical moment where they're both trapped by the killers in the woods and we're like, oh my God, things are destitute. How are they gonna get out? Do you know how they get out? Do you know what the twist is? Instead of these young women coming into their power and like something crazy happening, something crazy happens, but it completely negates the message of the book, which is female empowerment. They get fucking bailed out of this situation by a bear. A goddamn grizzly bear comes pummeling out of the woods and saves them from the killers. Can't make this shit up. Next up, we have a severe gap here. The Broken Girls by Simone St. James, paranormal dual timeline historical thriller. Average rating of a 4.23. That is so high. People love this book. So many people have given this 5 stars. I give it 2. Okay, I give it 2. I felt no connection to this book whatsoever. The characters, boring, didn't care. The plot, boring, didn't care. Historical timelines, boring, don't care. The overlap, past, present, boring, not relevant, didn't care. I gave 0 fucks about this book. I was basically just hearing it. Okay, I listened to this on audio and it was just like, I'm hearing it, but I don't give a fuck. No emotional connection at all whatsoever. Could definitely be a me thing. I was just bored to tears. I would like to know what makes this a 4.23 rated book. What did y'all like about this book? Because I don't get it. Next up, we have Hide by Kirsten White with an average rating of 3.17. I gave it 1 star. This is a horror book, which is set up to be perfect for me, okay? Massive rich people scavenger hunt in an amusement park. I love amusement park horror. If y'all remember last summer, every other book I read was amusement park horror. I was on the hunt for the best amusement park horror. This is not it. Spoiler alert, this is not it. This was horrid. There were 2 characters in this book with the same name. Like, I know that happens in life. Obviously, there are people with the same name. But when you have a book with 20 characters, like your cast of characters is 20 people competing in this game, why in the hell would you make two of them have the same name? It just made it 10 times more confusing. It read like all of these people were 16 when they were in their 30s. It was giving YA even though it was adult horror. It was billed as a slasher, but there were no on-page kills. Like it was just not good. Okay, it was not good. It's not worth anyone's time. I think everyone who rated this highly must be a child who picked up this adult horror book and were like, oh my God. I don't get it. This is like a universally hated, at least in my circles. From everyone I've talked to, nobody likes Hyde. I guess there are Hyde lovers out there. More power to y'all, but I don't align. Next up, we're back into books that I've rated highly. We have Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. This one is actually has like a special crown place on the top of my bookshelves because it's one of my favorites of all time. The main character of this book, Ruby, is literally me. Okay, she's a therapist. I believe she has a cat, or maybe it's a dog, whatever. She's like, she has the equivalent of Boba. Okay, I have Boba over here. I also have Mochi, but like Boba's like my soul. Okay, my heart and soul. She's my first dog that I had as an independent person. So she has a little soul pet and she goes through life with this visceral rage inside her. And she finds little ways to release it by mercy killing, kind of. She just kills people that like, it's kind of easy for her to justify in a therapeutic sense why they should be dead. I'm not saying that I'm a killer, but I am saying that I identify with her feelings. And her husband dies. And she's on trial for the murder. But here's the gag is she didn't kill him. She didn't. But she did kill these other people. And so she's worried that the police are going to find out about that and that she's going to be indicted for the murder that she did not commit of her husband. It is so good. It's such great commentary. It is this character-driven, beautiful character study of a fucked up woman, which I love, 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 love. It's a setting in Miami, so it's perfect to read over the summer. I read it by the pool and it was just delicious. I don't get why this has a 3-star average. It's phenomenal. 5 stars. You can't rip it out of my cold dead hands. Bury me with this book. Next one is a given. Okay, I get it. Dead Inside, Chandler Morrison. I fucking love this book. It's one of my favorites of last year. I give it 5 stars. I get it. It's extreme horror. It's a fucking lot. It's gonna have a low rating. It's probably some of the most extreme gore I've ever read in my life. It is severely fucked up, but it's satire and it's commentary. And this is basically Chandler Morrison giving the big this to Matt Shaw, Duncan Ralston, Aaron Beauregard, all those fuckers. And I love him for this. I love Chandler Morrison. He speaks to my soul. I love him. So I give it 5 stars because I get it. And if you don't get it and you don't get that it's satire, I get it. You're not all there and you're going to give it a low rating. So I get the disparity here. But again, you can't pry Dead Inside out of my cold dead hands. I love it. Oh, John fucking Morris. Oh God. I can't do this with John fucking Mars anymore. I can't fucking do this with John Mars. When You Disappeared, average rating of 3.13. You would think it's just an average star. It's not. It's a 1 star. It's horrible. Don't read it. Misogyny, down. Why does John Mars put female characters in his books solely to be vexed, tortured, and humiliated by ways of the things that make them women? Pregnancy, period, womanhood that he plays on and just humiliates his female characters for no reason. It's gratuitous and it feels misogynistic and I hate it. There's always some weird shit about women's bodies that John Mars uses as a twist and it's gross. I'm done. I'm done. This was supposed to be a book about a man going missing and then showing back up at the family's door years and years later and the wife being like, what the hell, where have you been? And then we're supposed to find out where he was, why he disappeared, da 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 da. But it's really just about this woman getting severely fucked over and it's just not very enjoyable to read in the slightest. There's basically no twist other than it sucks. When She Returned by Lucinda Berry, I give it 2 stars, has an average rating of a 4. I would say generally Lucinda Berry is really well loved, well received. I have enjoyed the great majority of her books. I've read all but one of her books and loved almost every single one. This is one of the outliers. This didn't hit for me. It is about a cult, okay? It's about a woman who goes into a cult and then she returns and we're trying to figure out what was going on with the cult, why she was returned, what the whole conspiracy is, yada da da da. And for me, I don't love cult books and I also didn't love the ending of this. The resolution, the messaging wasn't my favorite and just the experience of reading a cult book is never that interesting to me. I don't know. You would think that I would like a cult book because I like fucked up, weird psychological things like that, but cults don't always hit for me. It takes a special one. So I don't know. I feel like that was just not for me, but I get why people like it. I think people generally really like Lucinda Berry, and most of the time I would recommend her books. Next up, we have The Sorority Murder by Allison Brennan. Average rating of 4.5. People really like this book. I give it 2.5. I just felt like this was right down the middle, average thriller. Girls getting murdered on a college campus. Who done it? There's a podcast element. We're trying to put together all the pieces from all the different perspectives. Pretty straightforward. Wasn't amazing. Wasn't super shitty. Honestly, I don't have strong feelings about it at all. 2.5 right down the middle. I guess you might really like this one. I haven't recommended it widely before because I thought it was so average, but if that plot interests you, maybe you should give it a go. Seems like people really like it. Next up, we have Ties the Tether by Jane Igaro. This is another one, average rating of a 4, and I give it 2. This is a romance. I believe the main character is Nigerian, I hope. And she is dealing with the kind of like bind that her culture has her in regards to relationships. She's trying to work through cultural trauma, family trauma, yada, 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 and pursue this relationship with this guy. I don't remember any of the details of this book. That synopsis probably isn't even 100% correct. I've read this so long ago. All I remember is this is one of the first adult romances I ever read, and I didn't feel any chemistry. I felt no connection between our main two characters, and that was like, to me as a new romance reader, like, isn't the whole point is to root for the romance? And I just didn't feel it at all. So I ended up giving it a 2 stars. But again, I was very new to the genre. I didn't really know what I was liking. It was one of the first books that I ever did on audiobook, so I'm sure those factors go into it. Maybe you should give it a go. Don't trust my rating on it because a lot of people seem to like it. Average of a 4, not bad at all. And the last controversial book opinion that I want to talk about with y'all today is about The Last Final Girl by Stephen Graham Jones, which again has an average rating of a 4-star, and I gave 2 stars. Generally, I like Stephen Graham Jones. I feel like he's kind of hit or miss because he has a very, very unique writing style. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For me in this one, it didn't. Very much written as if it's a screenplay, like it's written like a horror movie. And that sounds like something that would be totally up my alley, right? Like I love that. I love horror movie by Paul Tremblay. One of my best books of the year is How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuey. But this one, the writing style was so distracting. Everything, I swear to God, was like pan, zoom, open scene on blah, blah, blah. Like it was just too many directions that I was like, where are we actually going here? Like what is actually happening? It was distracting from the descriptions of what was actually happening. It was so heavy-handed and tropey that it just didn't allow me to be immersed in the story fully. But if you like horror movie tropey horror books, you might like this. I mean, I feel like most of the people that rated this highly just really like that kind of thing. And I like that kind of thing, but it was just a little distracting for me. I don't know, maybe give it a go. I don't have super strong negative feelings about this book at all, but it is an outlier rating, allegedly, according to hardcover. And with that, those are all of my controversial book opinions that I'm gonna share with you guys today. Thank you so, so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give this video a like if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Of course, go down below and check out Shiny Smile and use my code for some money off. Thank you guys so, so much for watching. Don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week, and I will see you guys in my next video.